closing the sale. We have to make sure that everything we say we're going to do, we're going to do it. We must engage in open dialogue. Ask them the right questions. How to increase your sales closing ratio. This is a question as a commercial and any kind of sales coach gets asked a lot. Since I started working with producers with APP, this question comes up all the time. And it's one that I thought about as my own book of business was growing, as I was training producers throughout my career as a marketing rep. I thought about this question a lot. And I've observed and noticed a lot of things. And I've broken it down into five, I guess you could say it, 5 steps. Number one, and first and foremost, know your value add and understand your value position. Getting into that a little bit, we talked about in a 3-minute video. I want to talk about here today. You got to know what you bring to the table. You don't want to look like every other agency in the city or the state or the country or in your geographical area that you're competing against. You don't want to look like them. You don't necessarily want to emulate what they're doing or anything like that either. What you want to do is figure out what your specific value add is. And that could be technology, that could be education, that could be training, that could be any number of things. But you need to know what that is and be able to communicate that effectively to your prospect that you are wanting to work with. That is something that is first and foremost something that has to be done. And if you can do that, if you can master that of being able to know and understand your value prop, know and understand your value add, then I think that's going to get you that first step closer to increasing your close. So we don't want to be always about price. If it's always about price, then you're just going to end up competing with everyone else that comes in about price. And that old adage, win on price, you'll lose on price. And that's the other thing is you don't want to be the cheapest all the time. You just want to be the best. And you want to make sure that you provide value for what their issue is or what you need to solve, their problem that you're solving is. Because let's just face it, they're wanting you to solve a problem for them. And so you've got to get down to what that is and how you're going to get there. What is that value prop? Now that you know your value add is, let's use education, for example. A lot of people like to use education nowadays. Are you going to provide them with a weekly newsletter, a monthly newsletter? Are you going to come visit with them, this client, on a monthly basis, weekly basis, whatever it might be, and do some sort of education with them? Is this you forwarding podcasts and articles with them on a regular basis? Is this you understanding their business so you can help educate them and train them? It's a lot of different ways you could do that. Figure out what that is and be able to articulate that to them. When you work with my agency, here's what we're going to do for you. Something to that effect. That's going to help you. So that's step one, understanding that. And I'll tell you this, my little soapbox here. If you're wondering, if you're thinking in your head, how can I separate myself? How can I be different? How can I look different from the pack? The answer is what separates you from the pack is you. Be authentic. Be you. Don't try to be XYZ agency down the street. Don't try to be ABC agency owner up the road. You be you and be authentic to that. That's number one. Number two, share examples and ask questions. That's a number two part of this. So once you've got the value add and you understand your unique value position, now you can start sharing examples. It kind of goes to that herd mentality, right? So people want to know that they're making the right decision. They want some proof, some sort of validation that they have done the right thing in hiring you. So what you've got to do is give them that. Serve it up to them on a silver platter. Tell them examples. Tell them stories. Be a storyteller. Tell them ideas of how another prospect, another client of yours that you won over had the same or similar situation that they do, and tie it back to that. I helped such and such client in this way. They were dealing with this issue. My solution helped them in this way. Maybe it was helping them close on a home. Maybe it was helping them to get that new car off the lot. Maybe it was helping a commercial client to get their costs down or improve on their employee injuries. Maybe it was this or that, but find a way to share those stories, tie it back to the policy that you're looking to sell them and do that. That's going to help you increase that closing ratio again, because people want to know they made the right decision. The second part of number two, the two-parter there is ask questions. There's so much value in that. It's not just ask questions, just ask questions. It's not just ask questions, just to kind of sound robotic and go through an Accord app. No, what we're wanting here, what I think you need to do here is probe a little deeper than that and get on a different level so where you can find that pain point and be able to better solve that problem and direct your examples in a different way. Ask the right questions, not just any old question. I think that's going to help you. And that's going to be super important as you are trying to drive that closing ratio. Am I right? Of course I am. I'm the one on the podcast. So I'm kidding. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about taking your time. This is a marathon, not a sprint. From start to finish, this is not an opportunity for you to get through as quickly as possible because, again, insurance is complicated. Insurance is subject that we need to take our time sometimes and massage this. In the process, the buying experience, if you rush through it and you pressure them through it, they are going to feel like you're disingenuous. Disingenuous, is that a word? They're going to feel like you're not genuine. And there you go. They're going to feel like you don't care about them, that you're not listening to them. So I need you to slow down, listen. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You got to make sure that you're listening to them, asking those right questions, building your value add, building that value proposition, sharing examples. But through that process, you've got to be able to make them feel important, make them feel heard, and make them feel like they are the most important client in the world to you. And they need to feel that. This customer journey, this customer experience needs to be the best sales experience they've ever had. You need to make sure you deliver on that. So take your time, listen, and whatever they come up with, whatever that challenge is, you've listened to it, you've evaluated it, you've shared your plan of how you are going to solve that challenge, and you deliver that to them. So many salespeople just want to rush through the process. They want to, okay, sign here in this dotted line, or this is important, and they just kind of rush through it, and people feel like they're just another number. Little ninja trick here is use their name when they're talking to you. Try to remember certain things along the way through the process, animals' names, pets' names, or kids' names, anniversaries, birth, whatever you can do to tie it back. Hobbies they've interested, things they've been interested in, they've talked to you about, and be able to talk to them about that throughout this. So they feel important. They feel it's not just another number. So if you're talking to them about that, what is Sally going to think about this? Or thought about little Timmy in this situation. This is how it helps that. Or, as you're talking to him, maybe in the beginning or the end or throughout the conversation, how's little Johnny doing? Did he win his ball game the other day? Or did little Susie do well in her recital? I'm sure it was a super cute thing and blah, 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 blah. And isn't it crazy how they grow up, whatever it might be. Try to build that rapport, but take your time and be thorough through it and understand that they are going through this maybe for the first time with you, and maybe for the first time, period. And you want to make this the best experience possible. That's going to help you to increase your closing ratio. Number 4, we're nearing the end here already. I feel like we just got started. I love doing these podcasts and I love hanging out with you guys and talking to you about things like this that are important to me. They're important to APP and also obviously very important to you. You clicked on this podcast. It was something that interested you. Oh, here's the mayor talking about closing ratio. Obviously, it's important to you, and I want to make sure that we dive in and solve some of these challenges and give you some just little advice, little ninja tricks to help you to improve. Guys, this one, number 4, under promise and over deliver. This one's so big here because so many agencies out there, so many agents out there, so many producers, so many customer service reps, so many salespeople in general, they overpromise and underdeliver. We want to make sure we're the opposite of that, right? Y'all all been there before. It's one of those things that it really bugs you. Like for me, if I go to somewhere and they tell me it's going to be this great experience, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and they're promising me all these things, and at the end of that experience, it was lacking in all of those things, I'm disappointed. So when you are looking to sell a prospect, that is something you've got to be aware of. And you've got to make sure that you are doing that very thing. So what's the most important thing there to do is to make sure that you are able to do what you say you're going to do, that you are able to do that. The reason why this has been brought up countless times, the overpromised underdeliver or underpromise overdeliver, is that so many salespeople do that, and it's caused a lot of distrust. And one of the biggest things that you want to build throughout the process to increase your closing ratio is trust. It's imperative that we as insurance sales professionals make sure that we underpromise, overdeliver. We want to go that extra mile. We want them to feel like, oh, not only did they answer my challenge, not only did they get me this, not only did that, but they also did this. But wait, there's more, right? So we want to make sure that we do that to ensure the expectations are understood on both sides. How do we do this? We must engage in open dialogue throughout the sales process, as we've talked about already, slowing down, talking them through it, telling stories, asking questions. What are we doing here? We're building rapport. We're engaging in open dialogue. And why is this so important? So that we can make sure that we ensure expectations are understood on both sides, not just yours, not just that person's, the prospects. We understand because we've talked to them throughout. We've asked them the right questions so that we know what they're expecting. They know what we are expecting. By having set expectations on both sides, we're able to understand the assignment, over deliver on our promises, thus delivering an incredible sales experience as part of the sales strategy. That right there is something that is so far often underlooked or overlooked, I should say. Sorry. It's an overlooked situation because people just want to rush through and they just want to get them an answer. And again, they want to promise the world in the middle of the sales process because they feel like, if we promise all these things, we're going to get them to say yes. But then after they've said yes, they've signed on the dotted line, then you get in there and you're like, I can't deliver on these things. We can't do that. We have to make sure that everything we say we're going to do, we're going to do it. To do what you say you're going to do, in order to be able to do that, you've got to make sure that you under promise, over deliver. I hope this makes sense to you guys. I hope I could get this across to you because that's such a vital part of closing. Because if you don't, then you're going to end up losing the sales. So the last one here sounds super simple, but step 5 is stop trying so hard. Right? I mean, it is one of those things that's just, I don't want to say embarrassing, but we don't want to hard close. We don't want to try so hard that we miss the opportunity. Instead, we should be focused on helping our prospects determine if it makes good business sense to them. Am I right? We've got to make sure that it makes good business sense to them to make a decision to purchase from your agency. Here's the good news. If it does, they'll say yes. If it does, they'll have no problem with it. So don't hard close. Don't walk them into it. Don't make them feel pressured into it. Today's prospects are way too savvy to fall prey to closing techniques. They have way too much information at their fingertips, and there are convenient options out there as well. There's so many options out there to be able to click here and buy here in 15 minutes or more, save you 15% or less or whatever that is. The more you try to close them, the less they want to do business with you. The more you try to pull a client to a closing technique, whether it's hard close, a wedge technique, a whatever, an assumed close, a this close, a that close, the more you do that, the less they're going to trust you. They're going to see right through it. The more you try to put a client through that, something that you learned at a sales conference, and the sleazier you become. Instead, put your emphasis at the front end, building rapport, understanding pain points, selling them on, telling stories, listening, asking questions, taking your time. All of the things we mentioned 1 through 4, focus on those things. And at the end of the process, you won't have to put a hard close. It'll be as simple as, would you like to pay check or by credit card? Would you like me to send you the proposal via DocuSign? And we can go from there. It's not going to have to be some like hard close, and we don't need to do that. Before you know it, your prospects will be saying, where do I sign? Let me offer a little bonus option for you. How you feel about that? In order to improve your closing ratio, I'm a firm believer in follow-ups. Here's a little bonus for you. I guess it'd be number 6. The average sale takes 5 follow-ups in order to close it, right? But here's some real deal stats for you. 44% of sales reps follow up with a prospect only 1 time. I know your mind is blown on the side of the street or on the back of the treadmill that you're running on or whatever it might be. But it's the truth. After 4 follow-ups, 94% of salespeople gave up. Can you be that rare breed? That top 2% that has 5 follow-ups? The reluctance of following up is understandable. I mean, salespeople are very aware that their profession can carry a reputation for being aggressive or being too pushy or being this or that. You don't want to be seen as annoying or not taking the hint. So you just simply stop following up. Would you believe me? Just hear me out for a minute, guys, and then I'll wrap it up, I promise. Would you believe me if I were to tell you that the main reason why a prospect will get back to you is not because they aren't interested. It's because they're busy. They got a lot going on. They got little Johnny's football game this afternoon, or they've got a sales presentation of their own. They've got meetings all day. They got emails to tend to. They got their own life is busy. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that personal. It's because they're busy. Prospects will tell you. They have a lot of things to juggle at the moment, so many different things. And so it's one of those things that I firmly believe that you got to be able to just follow up, and follow up. According to another study, that prospects have an average of 200 emails in their inbox at one time. People are just busy. They're probably not ignoring you because they don't want to act on your quote. It's simply because they want someone to get their attention because they have a lot going on. So you got to stand out from the crowd. You've got to be able to send a proposal that stands out or follow up. Again, 94% give up. Crazy, right? Be that smaller percentage. Be that rare breed that follows up. I believe we've got to change that narrative. We've got to do these 5 plus, bonus things to do. If you're not doing that, you're just continuing the same old narrative. Let's change that narrative to boost your sales strategy. I recommend that we change the narrative altogether. They're going to buy from you because you're passionate about helping them, because you're passionate about their family and their business, not following up because you're a sleazy salesperson to close a deal. You are following up because you're passionate about coverage, because you're passionate about what you do. The follow-up is super crucial in this entire journey, in this entire situation. I really hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from here. I've given you 5 techniques to improve your closing ratio. As you read this blog post, I hope that you see, as you listen to this podcast, I hope that you see it's not all about just closing the sale, as there are hidden interpersonal agendas that are never spoken of that kill a lot of deals. In this economy, people work smart and hard. So now let's get out there and close some business, right? Let's get out there and show people our value add. Let's get out there and walk people through a sales journey, not just some like fast and quick transaction. We're not transactional salespeople. If you're a transactional salesperson, you're gonna have a low closing ratio. If you care about your customer, if you care about the process, if you walk them through a journey, you're gonna have a high closing ratio. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out with me, and I'll see you again on the next one.